So I say, okay, what are you looking to supply today? We've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver.
A Planned Parenthood doctor discusses getting money for tissue from aborted fetuses.
Secretly recorded, heavily edited videos to make outrageous claims.
2 Orange County medical companies are facing charges of selling fetal tissue illegally.
The tissue is donated from aborted fetuses through Planned Parenthood and other facilities.
Planned Parenthood is now under federal investigation by the Department of Justice for selling fetal body parts.
Critics say that it's unethical to use the material and that taxpayer money should not be used for research that relies on abortion.
Washington Post columnist Michael Gerson has pointed out that charging a fee for this material doesn't...
It's not a fee. It's not a fee. It's actually just the cost of transmitting this material.
When the videos were released, Planned Parenthood denied selling body parts. We thought they might do this, so before the video release, we emailed Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast an undercover contract for $750 per fetal liver, $1,600 for liver thymus pairs. Planned Parenthood told Congress they rebuffed the deal, and the New York Times reported Planned Parenthood's assurances that the affiliate declined. But now, we know that Planned Parenthood lied to Congress and to the media because of the documents and testimony of Tram Nguyen, Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast's abortion center director.
It's an email from Robert Sarkis to Melissa Farrell, and it copies you and other people, dated June 30, 2015. And it attaches an agreement between Biomax and Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast. If you just turn to the last page of the document, it says that the fee to Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast for a fetal liver would be $750, and the fee for fetal liver and a thymus would be $1,600. This is an email chain between you and Doe 9012, who is the Regional Medical and Surgical Services Director, who we understand is Diane Santos. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Do you say, FYI, we're still trying to move forward with this? She responds to you and says, do you want to do this? You respond to her and say, yes, ma'am. Do you remember that exchange?
Got into it yesterday.
Okay. So you wanted to move forward with the contract we just saw with those price terms?
Objection. Mischaracterized the document. Mischaracterized the testimony. Vague.
I know I wanted to move forward with it.
Is there anything in writing that says that you didn't agree with the compensation?
Objection. Vague.
No.
It's a federal crime to trade fetal tissue in exchange for valuable consideration. Valuable consideration means the benefits exchanged in a transaction, also called a quid pro quo, which means in Latin, one thing for that other thing. It's an intentionally broad term for any measurable exchange. The law means that if human fetal organs or tissue are being exchanged as the quid pro quo, or the pivot of value in a transaction, it is an illegal transfer of fetal tissue. This law makes sense because paying for something is a financial incentive to make more of it, and you can only get body parts by taking them out of another human being. So the purpose of laws against trading valuable consideration for body parts is to stop any financial incentives to turn a human being into a commodity. Valuable consideration is not strictly about profit or reimbursement. It's about keeping any market forces away from organ donation, period. This is crucial in the context of abortion, where a pregnant woman is free to choose only up until the moment the fetus dies, and then the choice becomes irreversible. Democrat Henry Waxman, the author of the fetal tissue law, explained it this way.
This amendment that I'm offering in the nature of a substitute would enact the most important safeguards, and those are the safeguards to prevent any sale of fetal tissue for any purpose. It would be abhorrent to allow sale and a market to be created for that sale.
Representative Waxman later said, any price is unreasonable and illegal under this law. But Planned Parenthood's own documents show that market demand for body parts was the driving force in their fetal tissue deals. Emails from the biggest Planned Parenthood affiliate in the country, Planned Parenthood Marmonte, show how they switched from selling body parts to Advanced Bioscience Resources and partnered with STEM Express instead, because STEM Express offered a larger market and therefore more money to Planned Parenthood. In June 2010, the research director for Planned Parenthood Marmonte writes to Planned Parenthood Marmonte's medical director, Dr. Dorothy Ferguson, complaining that ABR has only shown up on Tuesdays, a couple of times in the last month or two. In fact, the last invoice I sent to ABR was for 2 samples collected in April at the Sacramento abortion clinic. The research director says that Kate Dyer from STEM Express could really use Tuesday and Friday at the Sacramento B Street clinic. Her business is starting to take off, which is good for her and us as well. This might be a good time to think about severing our relationship with ABR. Sure enough, a few days later, Dr. Ferguson wrote back that Marmonte would be terminating their contract with ABR, giving STEM Express expanded, exclusive access to the abortion clinics. Watch what Dr. Ferguson said when confronted with these emails under oath.
Do you know if there was any discussion about whether or not STEM Express would send technicians to PPMM health centers on more days a week than ABR would have been doing at that time?
Objection, vague.
I think that that's true, that it seemed that STEMX was working with more researchers perhaps than ABR was.
If STEM Express determined that a particular sample was not usable, would PPMM still get the $55 reimbursement for that sample?
No.
That's another important admission. Planned Parenthood has tried to say that they were only getting reimbursement for vague costs, but the STEM Express contract conditions the payment specifically on STEM Express being able to harvest usable body parts inside Planned Parenthood Marmonte. It's true the law allows reimbursements for specific costs when donating fetal organs for free, but there are 2 requirements in this limited exception. Number 1, the payments have to be reasonable reimbursements, and number 2, they have to be associated with these specific costs. Planned Parenthood didn't do any transportation, implantation, processing, preservation, quality control, or storage of the fresh body parts they sold to STEM Express. That was STEM Express's job. And the payments were totally disconnected from any actual costs. They were only associated with marketable body parts for STEM Express. That means no matter what kind of costs Planned Parenthood ever had, and there is no evidence they had any that were legal, Planned Parenthood was only paid and incentivized for the number of body parts that STEM Express could market.
Again, though, PPMM would only be reimbursed if a sample was actually usable. Is that correct?
Yes.
So would it have been in PPM's best interest in seeking to recoup its costs if it would try to maximize the number of usable samples?
Objection, vague, calls for speculation.
In our mission to support medical research, it would be, we would have liked to provide usable samples to further medical research.
$55 per usable body part, plus $10 for an accompanying blood sample, might not seem like a lot of money, although people go to jail for selling illegal drugs for less. But when you consider Planned Parenthood Marmonte does 17,000 abortions a year, that cumulative $65 fee adds up quickly. Clinic owners told us undercover that they were looking at numbers of up to $250,000 a year from selling body parts to STEM Express. But under oath, Planned Parenthood and fetal trafficking witnesses have been conspicuously silent about the total amount of money they were able to achieve under these contracts.
Has she ever conveyed to you that they were projecting $250,000 in revenue from fetal tissue sales to STEM Express?
Don't answer that question.
At a NAF conference.
Do not answer that question.
Have you discussed projected revenues abortion clinics can expect as a result of working with ABR at NAF conferences?
And you were instructed not to answer that question.
These invoices sent from Planned Parenthood Marmonte to STEM Express show Planned Parenthood making over 5-figure sums for just 1 month of body part supply. It's no wonder STEM Express advertised a financial benefit and fiscal rewards to clinics who would open their doors to its harvesting team.
On the first page of this pamphlet, it says your clinic can advance biomedical research, and it has a bullet point that says financially profitable. Did you understand that they were going to use this brochure or poster with your quote in order to seek to obtain more potential sources of fetal tissue?
Objection, Black's Foundation, calls for speculation.
Yes, I understood that that's what they were trying to do.
Planned Parenthood National knew that deals like this were going on. They had a special top-level meeting about it in early 2011, involving top lawyer Roger Evans, the PPFA research department, and Dr. Deborah Nicotola, the top abortion doctor.
Do you remember any affiliates telling you directly which tissue procurement organizations they were working with?
I do.
Okay. And what do you remember?
I remember the affiliate, which was called Shasta Pacific at the time, sending an email to medical services telling us they were working with STEM Express.
What was said in that email to the best of your memory?
I don't remember the exact email, but from my recollection, the gist of it was they wanted us to know that they were working with STEM Express and thought that they were, it was a good relationship, and wanted to know if there was a way to let other affiliates know about the opportunity.
PPFA's discussions about affiliates getting paid for fetal tissue in early 2011 led to the reissuance of a 10-year-old memo about the federal law. Yet PPFA willfully turned a blind eye to whether or not affiliates followed the memo.
How did you find out that LA and Marmonte were getting payments?
Because when the whole video thing happened, everybody started, I don't know, assessing the situation, I guess.
Okay, so before the whole video thing, you had no knowledge that those two affiliates were receiving payments for fetal tissue?
I knew LA was getting payments because I was a provider there.
Did you ever follow up with them to ensure that they comply with this guidance from PPFA?
Asked and answered.
I did not.
Why not?
Asked and answered.
I'm not sure why I would need to.
So this guidance was coming out from PPFA. You happened to work at one of the affiliates, and they happen to have a fetal tissue donation program, and you happen to be privy to all these guidelines that are being issued and memos that are being issued. That's why I'm asking if you followed up with the affiliate that you were working with to make sure they were complying with PPFA's guidance.
Misstates the record as to the chronology. Asked and answered, Black's Foundation.
Okay, so I have a two-part answer for you. Number one, I don't know when the PPLA started participating in these programs, so I couldn't tell you the date. So I don't know that they were necessarily doing it when this memo was recirculated, number one. Number two, I assume that the medical leadership at the affiliate had it taken care of.
Who was the medical leadership at the affiliate?
I can tell you who the medical director is. I can't tell you the whole team, but the medical director was Mary Gatter.
I was approached by representatives of Novogenics. I had been involved, as we discussed, in tissue programs before. I obtained a waiver from PPFA to start this program, and that's how we started.
Was Novogenics a not-for-profit or a for-profit?
I believe it was a for-profit.